Ready? Go. Good morning, Rabotai. Tizkol Shanim Rabot. Welcome, everybody. Wednesday, the 5th day of the month of Nisan, 5779. April, the 10th, 2019. Basically, you have 5 days to file your taxes. Right? That's what they say. All right? You can apply for an extension. Make sure to do it in a timely manner. The Lighthouse live video feed Torah project, dedicated לעילוי נשמת דבורה פייגה בת שמואל and רפואה שלמה of Ora Devora bat Rivka. The iTorah.com live audio recording and worldwide distribution, dedicated רפואה שלמה David Menachem ben Devorah Leah and Shidduch for Nehama Dina bat Hanabatia, among all the single boys and girls from Am Israel. May all of them find a suitable shidduch, and may all those who need a refuah shelema should have a refuah, and those who need a ilui neshama should have a ilui nishmat. Baruch Ata Adonai Elohenu Melech HaOlam Shehakol Nihiya Bidbaro. Okay. Obviously, for the next week or so, the main menu of the day will be Masa, will be Pesach. Even though today we have a Hametz breakfast, we're going to have it for a few more days. And Be'ezat Hashem, starting early next week, we're slowly switching to Pesach mode. And Be'ezat Hashem, like you clean our house, imagine to clean the synagogue. You don't understand what it goes through in a mega-sized synagogue like ours, that Ben Porat Yosef, busy, every room occupied on a regular basis, a lot of children running around, painting, fixing, so there is a lot of hametz, a lot of hidden candies in the korachas, in the lacquers, and Be'ezat Hashem will remind the kahal closer to the holiday to make sure that our korachas and the lacquers are free and clear of hametz. But I'd like to speak about the real hametz. We have different levels of hametz. Even in the halakha world, there are many different levels of hametz. Hametz that is visible, hametz suitable for consumption for a dog, raoi lachilat kelev, a hametz that is batel, all these halachic concepts, but it's not going to be my topic today. Today's topic will be our own custom-made hametz. What is hametz and what is matzah? And I'm sure that you have heard this, but I need to start from the bottom, from the basics, to arrive to our destination. You know, sometimes you sit on the airplane, and they don't just leave because you are sitting on the plane. They need to make sure that the engine is at a temperature, and it gives a clearance from the tower, and everybody's sitting, and they do all the security checklists, etc. So we need to start from the bottom. The Zohar Kadosh explains that hametz and matzah, how physical they are, but they are actually teaching us a very valuable lesson of Avodat Hashem. What's the difference between hametz and matzah? So someone may say, what's the question, Rabbi? A pound of matzah, $30, a loaf of bread, $3.99. Hazau Baruch. You can find probably matzah shemura a bit cheaper than $30 and a bit more expensive than $30. There is such a thing in the market for those who understand. But doesn't matter. We all know that there is a beautiful concept from the Torah, the idea of matzah in the celebration of Pesach. Actually, I feel confident to say that from the mitzvot related in our Torah concerning the topic of food, what's permissible to eat and what's allowed to eat, I think that the only mitzvah is eating matzah in Pesach. If a person doesn't eat meat, it's not a sin. If a person doesn't eat bread, it's not a sin. But eating matzah in Pesach is a mitzvah ta'aseh mideoraita. Is a positive commandment of the Torah. Give me a moment. Is a positive commandment of the Torah. Even the drinking of the 4 cups of wine is takanat hachamim. The haroset, takanat hachamim. Even the maror in our days is takanat hachamim. But eating matzah is mideoraita. Now, what's the difference again, hames and matzah? So we discussed the financial aspect of it. Let's look at the physical difference between hames and matzah. They painting the outside kasher lePesach. So not to worry, everything is fine. Baruch Hashem, so not to worry. That's why the room is so dark. You know, somebody says, Rabbi, turn on the light. I said, yeah, we cover the windows, not to disturb the actual beauty of the windows proper, etc. You know, needs maintenance. Baruch Hashem, like our body needs maintenance, like our neshama needs maintenance, the synagogue also needs maintenance. Financial maintenance, spiritual and physical. Let's continue. Look at the roll right behind you. How thick is it? And how light it is. And look at the matzah. Very thin. What's the difference? The bread is hames. Hames inflates. The Zohar HaKadosh explains that this inflammation from the hames represents the Yetzer Hara, represents the anger of the person, represents the haughtiness of the person, represents the big shot attitude of the person. That is what hames represents. The Yetzer Hara. He's a master of inflating the problems. The matzah, the opposite. How thin is the matzah? I don't have a matzah here. Actually, I do have matzot here. From the Eruv Haserot from last year, we do a special city-wide Eruv. So everybody is able to carry on Shabbat and Yom Tov as long as you are between the parameters and perimeters of the Eruv line, so to speak. But you remember how thin is the matzah? Very thin. What does that represent? So Kabbalistically speaking, that represents the concept of anava, the concept of humility of the person. What is hames? What is hames? So you may say, bread is hames, cookies hames, yeast hazaku baruch is hames. That is what hames is from a halachic perspective. But today we're going to talk about the emotional hames of the person's life. Because everyone has some part of hames in their life. What is hames in our life? Many different answers. One answer could be pashut, simple answer, problems in the person's life. Now we all have, as we discuss, our own packages. Sometimes it's health, sometimes it's family, sometimes it's parnasa, sometimes it's the mouth. As I said the other day to someone, you have no issues in your life. You only have one enemy in your life. Who is that enemy? My wife? No. Who is my enemy? He says, yourself. You are your own enemy. He says, how can you say that? I do this, I do this, I do this, I do that. I said, all that is beautiful. But you know who is your own enemy? Your mouth. The way you talk. The way you talk to your wife. The way you put her down. The way you treat your children. And this is not a new topic that we're talking about. But we need to understand, hames is anything that hinders our avodat Hashem. What affects our life with adversity. Now, for some people, maybe anger is their hames. For some people, as I said to someone the other day, narcissism. Narcissism means looking down and stepping on people's heads. Not physically, but emotionally. These are only some examples of the persons of Hamas. One more example that I shared with the ladies' class the other day. Drama. Drama. I'm not referring to a drama novela for those who speak Spanish. Okay? That's why it says novela. Don't see that. Don't see it. Okay? That's what it means, novela. Novela, don't see it. Okay, in Spanish. Right? Make sense? You have to understand, Rabotai. Like somebody told me, Rabbi, help me burn my Facebook page. Yesterday, somebody said, I don't know how to do that. Maybe log off, don't go anymore, but I'm going to give you a recipe. What's the recipe? Face the book. Instead of Facebook, face the book. Open the book of Torah and face it. He laughed. He says, Rabbi, how do you know this? I said, because you have to understand, I'm human too, by the way. I may be appearing not to be, but I'm a human, and I have my situations, and I have my challenges, and I have my bills to pay, and Baruch Hashem, you know. But as I said to someone the other day, it says, if a person will make their life less maror, because in the night of the Seder, what do? Pesach, Masa, Umaror, as I discussed yesterday. I was about to share with you a story, but for Shalom Bayit reasons, I will not say it. That's it. That enough should be a lesson to you. We want to react, we want to say, we want to comment, we want to criticize. And then you say, you know what? Better stay quiet. It's not your problem. You're not alone in the boat. Many people have this challenge. But the Torah, as I said a long time ago, but I'm going to say it again. The Torah believes that a person can be rehabilitated. Like, God forbid, there are rehab centers to treat different kinds of addictions. In the Torah, we have a rehab center also, that you don't need to pay, you don't have to fight with the insurance, you don't have to be enclosed for 45 days and go into therapy 6 hours a day. The Torah believes that if a person wants to become better and a person truly makes the effort, the person can succeed. If you remember yesterday's class, if not, listen to the file. The secret of Pesach. What did I explain means the word Pesach? Pesach means to pass over. But Pesach means Pesach. Pesach. You want to have your own freedom? Watch your mouth. Sah means to talk. Siha. Siha. Be careful with your mouth. Because if you're not, Masa. What's Masa? Masa meriva, bickering, argument, fighting. And what's the next word? Maror. You understand? Bitterness. So what is the Seder of Pesach telling us? Watch your mouth. How careful are we? Self-control. Thank you. How careful are we with kashrut in Pesach? You heard me talking. I gave you 4 websites, or 5, I don't even know how many I gave you, and links to search for acceptable kasher le-Pesach products, which many of them do not require a supervision, because they don't constitute any kind of problem according to Jewish law. But there are certain products, obviously, that it requires to have a proper kashrut supervision. For example, meat, dairy, candy, chocolates, masa, wine, canned goods, etc. But for example, cleaning agents does not require, according to the Sephardic tradition, to have a supervision. You want to buy a kosher brand, Hazaku Baruch. And that's the beauty of this list, because they did their due diligence in order for us to be able to find kosher products without having to require a Pesach supervision. That's number one. But guess what? Are you going to buy matzah in Pesach that doesn't have a good supervision? Are you going to use a wine that doesn't have a strong supervision? Obviously not. Why not? I say, Rabbi, matzah, mideoraita. Guess what? To speak bad, which I don't like to use the word bad, but I need to say it because it's part of the topic, is also Torah prohibition. Are we not limiting it, as I said the other day, to Lashon Hara, which is connecting to this week's Perashah? This week's Torah portion is called Mesorah. Mesorah means, the Zohar says, Mosi Ra, that brings negative speech from the mouth. Forget about gossip, forget about slander. Those are biblical transgressions that, according to the Hafetz Haim Lashon Hara, carry 31 transgressions. Can you imagine? 31 transgressions in Lashon Hara. 17 negative, 14 positive. Sure. V'ahavta l'reacha kamocha, number one on the list. You have to love your fellow friend as yourself. Let me ask you a question. Don't answer me back. But let's say somebody comes to you and speaks bad about you to him. Are you going to be happy? Of course not. You are human, so you have feelings, you have emotions. That is the first mitzvah that the Hafetz Haim says, transgression, positive commandment. You have to understand, when it comes to transgression in the Torah, you not only need to commit a sin. Many times when a person commits a sin, has two negatives. One verse says, don't spread gossip among your nation. And the other positive commandment is, love your fellow man as you love yourself. So you have a double, positive and negative. It's like a traffic ticket, right? You have one ticket, for example, you get points in your license. You get another ticket, Haz v'shalom, another points in your license. By the time you get how many points, I don't know, he can answer that better probably. What happens? Hazaku Baruch. The license gets suspended. Guess what? Treat your mouth like your driver license, correct? And the 0 points, beautiful for insurance. The higher the points in your license, the more traffic tickets in your license, the higher your insurance will be. So the Torah is giving you free insurance for your life. Pesach, Masa, Umaror. Now, I'd like to speak about a topic that I spoke about it in the past. But as the Halacha says, Moshe Rabbeinu, the Gemara actually says, Yafeh, beautiful, I'll explain this in a minute. The Halacha writes, the Gemara actually says, that Moshe Rabbeinu made a takana. Moshe Rabbeinu make a decree that every holiday and before the holiday, Am Israel needs to review the halachot relevant to that particular time of the year. Why? Because usually from a year to another, people tend to forget or not to remember or remember vaguely. And the Torah obviously wants that this once a year mitzvah, we should do it in the most beautiful and suitable way. It's like you have one opportunity a year to show your goodness, your behavior to Hashem. So what I would like to do, Be'ezat Hashem, and we'll save this for next week, is switch the topics of the shiurim and concentrate the majority of the classes of each day to the halachic perspective of Pesach. If it's kashering, if it's preparing the home, the Seder of Pesach, etc. And Be'ezat Hashem, Monday evening, we're going to have a special Ask the Rabbi class to allow the Kahal to openly ask questions in honor of Pesach. And although we're doing this every year, but you'll be surprised how helpful is the reviewing of these halachot, which I think that it says in the name of the Kaf HaHaim, I believe, of the Divrei Mordechai, either one that says that every time a person reviews a halacha, learns that halacha, that learning creates a malach, creates an angel that will be our guardian angel to assist us and to protect us in order for us to do the mitzvah properly, which is an unbelievable gift that we have, like an added insurance, so to speak, because at the end of the day, there is a pasuk in the Torah that says, "Lada'at et hama'aseh asher ye'asun." There is a commandment of the Torah to know how to do the things properly. Like you drive in a certain fashion, like when you build an item, you build a product, or you prepare a recipe for food, and our wives at home, let's say the baking. For us, baking means put the food in the oven and let it bake. But for a wife, they tell you, no. 45 minutes, 350 Fahrenheit, preheated oven. For me, so what's the big deal? Put it 600, 15 minutes. It sounds the same number, Hazak Baruch. But those who understand, no. The formula calls for 350 preheated for 45 minutes. Why? Because that's called the formula. And that's what the Pasuk says. There is a formula of how to do mitzvot. You may ask yourself, Rabbi, what difference does it make? This formula, that formula, that I'm drinking the wine recline, that I'm eating the kazait of matzah in 4 minutes, that I need to eat 4 kazaitot, and each kazait is 29.6427 grams, for examples, right? Or I need to have a 3 liquid ounces, or 2.7 according to some opinions, and I have to eat it, drink it, leaning. What difference does it make? If I'm leaning, if I'm not leaning, if I took 9 minutes to eat the matzah. So we need to understand a fascinating hidush that the Ben Ish Hai says, that for most of these examples that I told you, there are halachic reasons why they need to be done this particular way. It's like you're driving on the street. Do you drive the way you want, or you drive the way you should drive? Feel free to answer me. Okay, you are very honest. But if you see a police officer behind you, how are you going to do it? There is one behind you now as I'm speaking. Don't turn around. Don't turn the video. Happy holiday. No. For security reasons, we don't turn the video to anyone. That's it. I'm the only fellow exposed, and that's it. For safety reasons, obviously. We need to protect the identity of the kahal. Now, we try to follow the rules as much as we can. You know what the Ben Ish Hai says? That even though the person may not truly understand the reasons, even on symbolic acts, there is a mirror image in Shamayim. What does it mean? Let's say, why do we recline in the night of Pesach? And why we recline to the left and not to the right? We usually do everything with the right. Hold the Torah with the right. Give charity with the right. Kiss the mezuzah to the right. Why, when it comes to the leaning of Pesach, to the left? Short answer, for safety reasons. To protect the life of the person. Because the food pipe is towards the left, and the windpipe is towards the right. And if you lean to the right, you may cause the gravity of the wine to tilt towards the right, and that instead of going through the foot pipe, it will go through the windpipe. That is the reason why the leaning is towards the left and not towards the right. Okay? Reason number 2, why do we lean? Short answer, this shows a sign of freedom. Relax. What happens when people go on vacation and sometimes they send you pictures, how they sit? They don't sit like this, firm, like we sit on the Shabbat table or we sit on the class. They sit heke, relax. That's what Pesach is, a sense of freedom, a sense of relaxation, a sense of holiness. Why? The Zohar Kadosh writes that every night of Pesach, especially the Seder nights, Borei Olam comes down to the house of every Jewish family that's conducting a Seder to celebrate the holiday with each family of Am Israel. And that's the reason why, as I said, maybe I said this in the ladies' classes or here, the night of Pesach, it's called Haggadah. It's a biblical commandment from the Torah to share the miracles that God does with us, not only from Egypt, but in our life. I'm sure that we look for miracles, we'll find miracles. It's just a matter of opening up our eyes and being willing to see. As our rabbis tell us, try to find the goodness in every situation. That was the master teacher. You remember his name? Gamzu Letovah. Why was he called Gamzu Letovah? You remember the story with him? We're not going to go through the story. But what was it? That even in challenging situations, he will see the goodness. It's not easy. It's not easy. But as somebody complained to me about the Parnasah, Haim Tovim, Haim Tovim. A person started to complain. I said, let's make a deal. I'm going to share with you a list of problems that people have. Let's make a trade. The person in less than 10 minutes started to cry and said, Rabbi, you're right. I'm so happy that my challenge is only Parnasah. And it's not health, it's not emotional health, emotional issues, it's not Shalom Bayit issues. Parnasah, okay. Listen, the Gemara already said it the other day. Parnasah is challenging. No one says that to earn a livelihood, it's guaranteed and it's easy. This is the way Hashem created the world. Actually, that was not the way Hashem created the world. That was the outcome of Adam and Hava. And we deal with it. We pray for Parnasah. We count our blessings. We express our gratitude. As our holy rabbi said, the more gratitude the person verbalizes, the more positive energy comes into the life of the person. And once you have positive life and positive energy in your mind, in your heart, in your emotions, now you see things in a much more positive way. Remember, and I apologize in advance, sometimes with having back-to-back classes, men, ladies, it gets confusing, at least personally. I don't want to say the same thing that I said yesterday, but let me ask you a question. Did I say to this class the concept of the meaning of the word or? Did I say this to you? The meaning of the word or? No? So I'm going to say it now. I did say it to the ladies' class then on Monday. So I'll tell you quickly an interesting part of the Talmud. There is a volume in the Talmud, the Gemara, Mishnah. There is basically a volume for every imaginable situation in life. Real estate, Baba Batra. Financial litigation, Baba Messiah. Financial liability, responsibility, Baba Kama. Marriage, Kiddushin. Blessings, Berachot. All the holidays have a specific volume. And there is one volume, or one, tractate, known as Pesachim. Gemara Pesachim, I'm sure you heard this because we talk about this. Gemara, most of our tradition for Pesach and halachot come from this volume. So I'll tell you the opening statement of this particular Gemara. The Gemara begins, many of you understand Hebrew. So I'm going to say it in Hebrew, and I'm going to translate it. But in Hebrew, I think it's very clear. The Mishnah begins, Or le'arba'a asar, botkim et hames le'or haner. Translation. Pay attention to the literal translation, not to the meaning, but to the literal. Or le'arba'a asar, to the light of the 14th of Nisan, botkim et hames le'or haner. We search the hames with a candle. So the Mishnah is telling us that a day before Pesach, I need to go around the home with a candle. Many people use a flashlight, and it's permissible according to many opinions, so it's fine, to search the hames. Why? Because there is a mitzvah, not only of welcoming the matzah into our life, but it's also a mitzvah from the Torah to remove the hames from our life, to sell the hames, to dispose of the hames, to burn the hames, etc. A few moments ago, I explained to you the difference between hames and matzah. Hames means godliness, good behavior, positive energy, purity, holiness, godliness. And hames is completely the opposite. Hames represents the darkness of life. Hames represents the impurities of life. Hames represents anything that has to do with blocking God's presence in our life. That is the meaning of Hames. So our mitzvah is, get rid of all the darkness in your life. Let's turn on the light. I ask you a question. And this is the question of the Talmud. The Gemara asks, my or. What is the meaning of the word or? Light. So, or is day or is night? What's your answer, young man? Day. What do you think? Day. What do you think? Day. You agree? Or is light. Light means daytime. Okay? So as the Gemara, if or means daytime, why do you need a candle? So or means night. If or means night, why don't you start the volume by saying, to the night of the 14th of Nisan, we search for the hames with the candle. You know what the Gemara says? Because the word night represents darkness. And darkness can only exist when there is no godliness. And there is no such a thing as living a dark life. But this is the meaning of the answer. But I will tell you the proper answer of the Talmud in Hebrew. The Gemara concludes and it says, or means night. So why didn't the Mishnah begin by saying to the night of the 14th? And you save 3 pages of Talmudic arguing back and forth. Each opinion proving how in some verses or means night, and some verses or means light, as Genesis, Bereshit, Vayomer Elokim Yehi Or. God says, let there be light. So the Gemara says the following. Le'olam. This is mandatory digestion and implanted or implemented, will be the proper word, into our life. You know what the Talmud says? Le'olam. Forever. No occasionally. Forever. What's that mean, forever? That needs to be part of your DNA from your soul. No negotiation. What? Al yese Adam. Davar megune mipiv. Don't bring words that denote negativity or unpleasantness from our mouth. I ask you a question. The word night is so bad? Well, what people say before they go to sleep? Good night. Do you know why we say good night? Because you're implementing the word good before a word that shows darkness. And the darkness that I'm talking about is not physical darkness. It's about the spiritual darkness and the inner darkness that many times the person experiences for XYZ reason. And therefore, the Gemara says, I'm starting to discuss a topic of celebration, a topic of freedom, a topic in which Passover, Pesach, besides the Exodus, but you know what Pesach is? The birthday of the Jewish nation. The birth of the Jewish nation took place during Pesach. If you are following my class since the beginning, that I started close to 40 minutes ago, 90% of what I spoke has nothing to do with the loss of Pesach. Has to do with bringing the light into our life. Because this is what Pesach is all about. And again, halakha, it's important. But the spiritual level is important as well. Now, for example, just one second. This coming Shabbat, besides the regular Torah portion, we have a special title, Shabbat HaGadol, the Mega Shabbat, the Great Shabbat, the Big Shabbat. Why is it called big? Every Shabbat is big. But there are certain Shabbatot of the year that they carry, let's call it, an extra bonus. So I'll tell you quickly the halakha, because number one, usually the rabbis give a special Shabbat afternoon class in honor of Pesach. Why? Let's be honest. Baruch Hashem, many of you listen to Torah classes every day. Many people watch the live Torah class video feed by the Lighthouse Torah Project. Many people listen to the audio link by itorah.com. But how many people don't get any of the above? Unfortunately. And there are people who come to the synagogue, especially on Shabbatot, because the extra neshama gives them the encouragement to come. So our rabbis established that in order to benefit the masses and the community at large, the rabbis speak in the afternoon, longer than usual class, to review halachot of Pesach, insights, and the seder of Pesach. This is one halachic answer. Do you know why it's also called Shabbat HaGadol? Because this is Shabbat, is the stepping stone to Pesach. Is the Shabbat that brings me to the next level. And every holiday has a special gift and a special blessings. But you know what is the Pesach blessing? That are breaking down the walls. I remove the chains that keep me tied up emotionally and spiritually with darkness, with dark moments, as the Chobat HaLevavot writes, Kesat or dohe harbe min hachoshech. A little bit of light dissipates a lot of darkness. And the darkness is not physical sometimes. The darkness is mental. The darkness is spiritual. So when we burn the Hametz next Friday, we're going to say, Borei Olam, take all the darkness from my life. Take all the walls that are disturbing my life. Take all the hiccups. Remove my acid reflux. I'm not talking physical. Also, God can take care of the physical. But I'm talking about the acid reflux of life. The anxiety. Some people, unfortunately, go through this. People sometimes have anxiety. Guess what? Pray for it. Pray for it. And believe me, you will be successful. There is a technique, by the way. I'll try to bring it tomorrow, if I find it. But there is a technique that in the moment of stress, I wish that I had the card on me, but I saw it in writing the other day. I'm doing Pesach cleaning at home and in the office, so you come across a lot of interesting things, you know? And he gave there 1 minute stress-free technique. Hitbodedut. Close your mouth, close your eyes, clear your mind, take a deep breath, hold it for a few seconds, then slowly release it. Put in your mind positive thoughts. And guess what? I tried this several times. Not only in challenging moments, but when I go to my yearly checkup and the doctor wants to take the blood pressure, okay, I put this in my mind. I sit down. Everybody, whenever a person goes to a doctor, you're always concerned. Let's be honest here, right? We're humans, right? And what do we want? We want the doctor tells me, Chazaku Baruch, keep it up, ta 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 ta. We don't want the doctor, oh, blood pressure, ta ta. So I said to myself, you know what? I'm going to try this technique. And I tried it. And it worked. Because I came to the doctor's office from a very, very challenging day. Challenge, you know, my day is full of challenges. By the way, I'm human. And besides my own personal life, I deal with community lives and community needs and helping people, guiding people. I'm not complaining. I'm very thankful that Borei Olam gives me this opportunity. But sometimes when you go to a doctor, you want to go in with a clear mind. And that morning, I had back-to-back 3 appointments. And by the time I finished, I was exhausted mentally, especially because of the last appointment. And I said to myself, maybe I should cancel the appointment. Maybe I should, because the doctor is going to see me, all tied up, a bit exhausted already. And I said to myself, you know what? Haram. Until I make the appointment and I go to the appointment and I find the time to go to the appointment, you know, occasionally I have to cancel. Unfortunately, some unexpected situations happen that require my immediate attention. But I said to myself, what numbers is the blood pressure is going to come up after such a busy morning. I said to myself, you know what? I'm going to activate 1 minute stress-free technique. I don't remember step by step, but it goes something like I said before. Close your eyes. Put in your mind good thoughts, positive thoughts. Blank your mind. Speak to Hashem mentally. Breathe. Hold it for a few seconds. And guess what? The result was very good. The doctor told me, you're fine. I was thankful. But for me, without telling him what I went through in the morning, it was a mega, mega miracle. And this is a pasuk. Pasuk tells us that there is no better way to get rid of problems like delegating them to Hashem. That's it. But you may say, Rabbi, it's easy for you. No, it's not easy for me. I learned this. And I'm sharing this with you. I had to come across until I discovered this. Now you have it. Available, online, live, for free. This is what Pesach is all about. Get rid of everything. Start a new chapter with happiness and love. And a young couple asked me this a few weeks ago. They had a couple of hiccups in their relationship. And they asked me, Rabbi, can we fix our marriage? I said, if there is a will, there is a way. Obviously, there are unfortunate situations sometimes that may not be easy. But when a young couple, they're starting up, obviously you're going to have an adjustment period. How long? I don't have that answer. Could be 6 months, could be a year, could be 2 years. It all depends on the persons, on the people, personality, attitude, you know. And once you activate a lot of the things that we're learning, these are all formulas to make our life a more happy, a more meaningful, a more joyous, and a holy life. Because we need to know one thing. Like in the Seder of Pesach, we start step by step, step by step, step by step. We don't eat matzah in the first Seder. When do we eat matzah? In the first step of the Seder. We eat matzah in the middle of the Seder. Why? Because there is a Seder. There is an order. Imagine yourself if today I said to myself, I'm going to put on my tie before my shirt. Does it make sense? So there is a Seder. On the shirt, tzitzit, shirt, tie, jacket. Socks. You put on your shoes after you put on your socks. Same thing with the Seder of Pesach. There is a Seder, but this Seder climbs up to the climax of the Seder of Pesach. And this is our life. The life of a Jew is to grow, is to change, and as I said before, to rehabilitate ourselves. The Torah believes that a person can become a better person. The Torah believes that if the person is willing, the person can become as a shining diamond. You have a diamond, right? What makes the value of the diamond so valuable? Not the rock, the original rock, the cut, the polishing, the clarity, the color, the cost, all of the C's connected to the diamonds. But guess what? If I have a diamond that is raw, rough, doesn't have as much value as a minuscule 1 carat diamond. Why not? Because it needs to be polished. Guess what? Our neshama needs to be polished. Our heart needs to be removed of the scabs of darkness and negativity. And our life needs also to be polished. A Jew needs to be polished. And those that come from Poland, you know, I know, Galiciano, whatever, Polish, Hungarian, whatever. I mean, Polish means like a shoe. How clean and how happy does your shoe feels when you polish the shoe? How elegant do you look? Hamavdil. This is what the rehab spiritually means. We polish ourselves. A polished person. When they say a polished person, what does it mean? Adame. Ben Adam. A mensch. A good person. So Be'ezat Hashem, each one will do their own soul searching, will do their own Bedikat Hames, and Be'ezat Hashem, we'll get rid of the Hames, we'll get rid of our headaches, and we welcome the holiness and the godliness that the Pesach brings upon each and every one of the Jewish people. Amen. Okay? Baruch Adonai Le'olam.